All right, it is time for what the H, and this is a big what the H for me, and a guy that we like and we have on the program on a regular basis, and I think does great work. But what the H?
What the? What was he thinking?
Release the hounds.
The Dave Hooker Show.
Keep cool.
A presentation of OffTheHookSports.com.
Joe Milton left off of Mike Farrell's top 25 quarterback rankings. Wow, wow, wow. Let's dig into that. Brought to you by Andy Mason, AndyMasonRealEstate.com. With Andy Mason, you get the best price and the biz, best price and service in the biz. AndyMasonRealEstate.com. I'm about to make a real estate move, so here we go. I can tell you about it as we move along. So Joe Milton left off the top 25 of Mike Farrell's quarterback rankings. If I just came to you, bumped onto you on the street, and I said, hey, I cover Tennessee there. And you said, hey, I cover Tennessee there too. And I said, would that Joe Milton III, Junior Esquire II, would he be on the top 25 list of quarterbacks? What would be your immediate reaction without thinking through it?
It would easily be yes. Obviously,
It would easily be yes for me too. Okay. But let's look at Mike Farrell's piece first before we pick it apart. And some of the quarterbacks that are listed above him, you got the Drake Mays and the Caleb Williams, and I got no problem with that. I see that. Those guys are going to be up there towards the top. But what about some guys like, I don't know, Cam Ward at Washington State, Gunnar Watson at Troy, Jaden De Laura at Arizona. You got a bunch of guys that I think Joe Milton from the shoot is better than. And he is 27th on this list. So he doesn't make the top 25. Those were guys that were later in the list. But right in front of him, you've got Curtis Rourke. You've got Drew Alar. You've got Grayson McGall. I think Joe Milton, looking at this list and placing him on the list, would have him around the top 15. Why do I pick top 15? Because you got KJ Jefferson at Arkansas, and I think Joe Milton is every bit as good as KJ Jefferson and will, when all is said and done, be better. So where would you have Joe Milton on this list?
Certainly top 20. I might push for top 15. The most egregious name ahead of Joe Milton on this is Cade Klubnik. Did they not go head-to-head last year? Cade Klubnik has no sample size really outside of last year's Tennessee game when he went head-to-head with Joe Milton. And I know it was a bowl game, but Dave, come on. One looked like the far superior quarterback in that game, didn't he? To the other one?
No, I agree. He did. Travis says 25. Would you have him at 25? Every single SEC quarterback minus Vandy should be within the top 25. Yeah, it should. It's a down year at quarterback for the SEC. I do think that Clemson's coaches tried to be a little cute in that game and put Cade Klubnik in some bad positions. So I won't just say that it's Cade Klubnik based on that he should be worse than Joe Milton. But Joe Milton did far outplay him. At the end of the day, I think Cade Klubnik will be a better college quarterback. He's got more time to prove himself. That doesn't mean that Joe Milton won't go higher in the draft. But that's a very debatable and good question. Would you take for one season Cade Klubnik or Joe Milton? And I think based off the Orange Bowl, you could argue both sides, Caleb. Based off what I see in accuracy from Klubnik, I could argue him. But right now, it's got to be Joe Milton, I would think.
Yeah, I mean, if you're asking me who I would rather, I can pick a quarterback to take, just period. I'm taking Klubnik because he is a sophomore, and I think he will be better than Milton long term. I'm with you. But for this year, and just this year alone, I think you got to go with Joe Milton. And look, if Joe Milton is down at number 27, Dave, we were all lied to by the coaches. Everybody lied to us about what they were saying with Joe Milton. Because, and also, if he's down at number 27 and he hasn't lost his starting job, then you got to be concerned about Nico Iamaleava long term, because it's how did he not beat out Joe Milton then?
Yeah. I ask around based off one of your theories. which to me didn't sound right at the time. So you said Joe Milton was a Heupel guy and Hendon Hooker was a Pruitt guy, and did that factor into the decision? I was told no doubt that it did. It did factor into the decision, and you also had the sports car. You had an Aston Martin next to a BMW. There's nothing wrong with a BMW, but you went out and you went to Europe to get the Aston Martin, and it's $180,000 or whatever it is. They looked at Joe Milton's physical ability and they said, "Wow," and that wowed the coaches. But the fact that he was a Pruitt guy and the physical ability is why they went with Joe Milton in 2021. So you were spot on that one. You don't have to worry about that decision now unless Joe Milton struggles, but I would have Joe Milton in front of a couple of these guys. Carson Beck comes in at 22. How much do we really know about Carson Beck? The other SEC guys, Devin Leary comes in at 23. I mentioned, pardon me, KJ Jefferson in at 14. Going down the list, Drake May was number 1. Caleb Williams was number 2. Other SEC quarterbacks.
Jaden Daniels, number 7.
Or Caden Daniels. Yeah, Jaden
Daniels.
Daniels. I almost missed Jaden Daniels at number 7. Is he definitely the best quarterback in the SEC? I say so, Caleb, but I don't know that he is 7 spots better than KJ Jefferson. I mean, I guess if you like Jaden Daniels that much, you should like KJ Jefferson a little bit more. I'd take Jaden Daniels, but to me,
I think Jaden Daniels enters the season the best quarterback in the SEC. Now, will he finish the season the best quarterback? I'm not sure. But KJ Jefferson had a bad drop-off last year. And Jaden Daniels, after that Tennessee game, that was a different Jaden Daniels after that Tennessee game last year. So we can't ignore what Jaden Daniels did in October and November.
No doubt about it. All right, coming up. So I had a question from D. I thought Hooker was the Pruitt guy and Coach Hop got Joe. Yes, that is correct. Did I misspeak, Caleb?
Maybe one of us accidentally said Pruitt with Joe, but yeah.
Hooker was the Pruitt guy. Milton was the
Heupel guy. And not just Pruitt. Remember, Kaidon Salter was at Tennessee at the time, and he was kicked off the team because he had 2 arrests. Both were like nonviolent arrests for like weed. And I'm like, yeah, it was 2, so you had the reason to kick him off. But at the same time, it was a weed arrest. And a part of me felt Heupel didn't really want Kaidon Salter, and this was a way for him to like take a strong stance on discipline for a quarterback that he wasn't really going to start anyway.
Yeah, he got pulled over, and they said, that's a little case. You put your weed in there. Do you remember the old Saturday Night Live skit?
I do not with that. Sorry.
Yeah, everything basically. They would go in a trinket store and everything. Put your weed in there. Anyway, I tried to tell that joke over the weekend, and nobody got it either.